Cheers.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Welcome back. You're still here.
I hope you guys are having a beverage while we are.
If you're not, go ahead. If you're not, go ahead and pause the video and we'll wait for you to go get one.
Okay, and we're back.
Go ahead and hit the subscribe button.
And hit that like button. It really helps other people find us.
Yes. This video is all about newborns and what I wish someone had told us before we had one.
Amen, sister.
I know all of this stuff because we've had 3 newborns.
We know this stuff now.
Yeah, we know it now.
We don't need you to tell us now.
We've had 3 newborns in a very short time frame.
We have 3 children under the age of 2.
It gives us the unique perspective of knowing,
craziness?
Yeah, craziness, but also like knowing and understanding newborns pretty well. And there are definitely things amongst all 3 of them that are very similar, and we're gonna share those with you.
On with the Borophyll.
That's not boring.
Oh, okay.
If you're about to have a newborn, that is really exciting stuff.
It is, I kid.
Yes.
What's number 1?
Well, before we even get started, I would like for you guys in the comment section below to please leave the, what should it be? I don't even have something.
One thing that they wish someone would have told them about newborns?
Please leave one thing that you wish somebody would have told you before you had a newborn.
That way, in addition to what we're gonna say, people that scroll through the comments are gonna read it and they're gonna be better off.
It's just gonna be a wealth of information.
This is why we have this community. This is a community.
You're welcome.
We love you guys.
You're welcome.
We've learned a lot from our comments, by the way.
We really have. So
and we've only been offended a handful of times.
Handful?
A million times.
A lot of times.
But luckily we're thick-skinned.
Number 1 thing I wish people would have told me, and they did actually tell me, is that newborns don't start really crying until about 2 weeks old.
I think that's a great point. Peak fussiness is probably what, 6 to 8 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice. Well, we should caveat that to say that our little baby girl.
And that's typically.
Typical. If you have a spirited child.
It can be on the high end.
Yes.
And if you have an Eloise, it can be on the low end.
Exactly.
So there's a big range, but almost every baby goes into a bell curve, peaking at 6 to 8 weeks. And then there's like a wide range of that peak. And it's determined in hours of daily crying. So on the high end, it's a lot of hours.
So most likely,
that's still considered normal.
Most likely you're not doing something wrong.
Nope.
I mean, you might be.
The baby just cries a lot.
It happens.
It does. And it's not that their cries do sound like they're in pain or discomfort. Not usually the case. They're just crying. Babies just cry a lot. So anyway, number 1, around 2 weeks old, your baby's gonna start crying and you're gonna think something's wrong. You're gonna think your milk is drying up is probably the most common.
If you're breastfeeding.
It's not. The baby's just crying.
Or if you're a man, you're gonna think that you've failed in fatherhood.
Especially if you're a man that works and returns home to work right in the period of time where babies are the fussiest, which is the evening. That's too bad.
It is, isn't it?
Yes. Number 2, don't forget to swaddle your crying baby.
Your parents may not have swaddled, but that's because they didn't know any better.
Yeah, Jesus was swaddled though. Swaddling has been done for centuries, and what it does is it puts the baby in this tight little cocoon and makes them feel secure. Flailing arms are not comfortable for anybody.
And they'll wake your baby up. Flailing arms will jolt your baby awake.
It's literally a reflex that newborns have called the Moro reflex, where their arms flail all of a sudden. Swaddling muffles that and helps them feel secure. You don't swaddle long enough for it to inhibit their development, I promise you. By the time the baby's rolling, you stop swaddling, it's just to make a newborn feel more comfortable and sleep better. Think about how restricted they were in the womb.
And it's easier to hold them when they're swaddled.
Totally. It's easier to breastfeed them when their hands, here, picture me breastfeeding and try to get my mouth on your breast.
It's awkward.
So that's what it's like trying to feed a newborn baby with their arms like this. Swaddle them.
It's part of the 5 S's.
It is.
If you've watched the, what is it, Happiest Baby on the Block? Is that the name of it?
If you're trying to calm them.
Exactly.
Number 3, sleep and schedule. Don't worry about it when they're a newborn.
Nurse your kid to sleep.
Totally nurse them to sleep.
For the first couple of months.
Nothing matters until about the 4-month mark.
That's when you need to start worrying.
They have a huge regression, and whatever you've taught them up until that point it goes out the window at about 4 months because the whole way their sleep works rearranges in their brain and nothing else matters that you've done.
So do whatever you need to do for the first 4 months of their life to get them to go to sleep.
It's survival mode. Schedules don't really work before that because your baby's not gonna adhere to your schedule. I mean, you can try, and I did. I had to. It was my personality. I tried. And then eventually I was like, nope, I'm gonna follow your lead. And you know what? It was liberating.
That's good.
Totally. Because I was like, I'm not feeding them before the 3-hour mark. And then when you start feeding on demand, it just changes everything. They go through these growth spurts where they need to feed more frequently, and if you're trying to feed every 3 hours, you're not gonna be signaling to your body that they're going to need more milk because they're growing. So feed on demand up until about 4 months. Gas and poop.
Believe it or not, babies have less blowouts with cloth diapers.
That's absolutely a fact. That's not even where I was going with that point.
I didn't believe it because Rachel was like trying to motivate me to cloth diapers. She's like, oh, you'll have less blowouts.
Only because I read that.
Like, whatever. It's really true.
Yep.
Because with baby Eloise, we cloth diaper exclusively, almost. But we did the regular diapers for a while. And she had a couple of blowouts.
That was the first we've ever experienced blowouts because we had the twins in cloth really early. So she had a forceful poop last night that blew up the back. And then she had a forceful poop tonight in cloth that did not go anywhere. So apparently cloth is better for that.
Apparently. But what were you gonna say about gas and poop?
Gas and poop. So babies cry a lot, and it's not necessarily because they're gassy, but if they are gassy and you're breastfeeding, it's not because you ate broccoli. I'm gonna leave links, linking all of the statistics and the
So again, your
research.
Your parents will probably say, oh, I couldn't eat broccoli with you.
Really uncommon for that to actually affect the baby. So do your research. Your food most likely is not affecting the baby's
and we're speaking in
digestive systems. There are extreme outlying exceptions.
For pretty much everything.
Yes. They also sometimes cry right before they poop because their little sphincter muscle has a hard time relaxing. And so again, it's not anything you did. It's just an undeveloped newborn digestive system.
It's a tiny little sphincter.
And it can't relax. Again, if you're breastfeeding at night and you don't plan on co-sleeping, this is a biggie. If you don't plan on co-sleeping, get out of bed to feed the baby. Otherwise, you're gonna fall asleep in bed and you're gonna accidentally co-sleep, and that is unsafe.
Or you can ask your husband to keep you awake while you're feeding your baby in bed.
Great way for the husband to get involved in nighttime breastfeeding is to allow you to sleep while you breastfeed and then put the baby back for you and monitor. Another
good reason to have the owlet monitor.
No. You can't use the owlet for that.
Nope, don't do that.
There is a safe way to co-sleep, and it amounts to a bare mattress with a fitted sheet on the floor with just you and the baby and no blankets.
That sounds awesome.
There's a really specific scenario where you can more safely co-sleep, and that's it. So most people are not doing that.
Oh, no.
Get out of bed to breastfeed the baby or else you're gonna fall asleep. There will be times when your marriage does not feel the same.
What?
I have a hard time with this one.
Yes, she does. We are constantly working on our marriage.
Brad is in the boat that we need to put our marriage on hold for a little while until our kids grow up.
That's not true. I'm in the contentment
by choice.
This is gonna be a whole nother...
We're gonna have to do a whole video on this.
Whatever this is.
Yeah, whatever these are.
Whatever.
I don't know what we're doing here.
This is we're creating.
We obviously have a very loose plan with this channel.
But it's gonna work out that way.
Just know that your marriage is not gonna be the same. It doesn't mean you shouldn't keep working on it.
And especially if you have multiples. What's the divorce rate of multiples?
Oh, it's like 50. Oh, it's more than 50% because 50% is like normal marriages.
It's totally understandable. It is really hard.
There's not a lot of time to spend on this.
So my old mentor, back when I was in the Navy, his piece of advice for me before we had our kids, he said, always keep your wife first. It's a lot harder when woke up. Like I was saying, it is really hard to put your partner first before the kids.
Takes a lot.
Pay no attention to the brown noise in the back. Mainly because the kids are needy and they cry and you have to take care of them.
Their needs are immediate.
Exactly.
Whereas my needs are like long term.
Exactly. But I think it's great advice, and I think it's super important for the success of your marriage.
You can't put it on the back burner for 18 years.
No, you cannot.
So our next point, as you can hear in the background, we have it playing currently, white noise, but more specifically, I really enjoy brown noise because it's more rumbly, deep, and it's gonna help your baby feel like they're back in the womb. Oops. Which is all they know. It's like rushing sounds and being tight. That's the science behind swaddling and white noise, which brings me to my next point. Don't listen to the generations before us.
We never had white noise.
That's ridiculous advice. They also didn't have car seats. Which is ridiculous to say. We never had car seats, so why should you? Same thing with, we just learn. We learn and we learn and we learn, and time goes on and we learn even more.
It's a horrible and honestly ignorant
mentality.
Exactly.
To say we didn't have that.
It. And you survived.
Don't listen to people that say that. Use everything you can. Use technology. Use knowledge.
Research.
Research.
We don't need to tell you
advice.
This. You already know that.
Use what you're given. Don't feel bad about it. Just because they didn't have it doesn't mean you shouldn't have it.
That's right.
So anyway, that's just terrible advice. Don't listen to it. Swaddle and white noise. That will get your baby to sleep.
She's sleeping now. And when they're that age, they'll sleep through anything. I mean, you could literally run a vacuum by their head.
Yeah, in a few weeks it'll start depending on what level of sleep they're in.
And so parents are often worried about decibel levels. You can download an app, Android, iPhone, whatever, that will measure how many decimal levels like the white noise is at.
Decibel.
Yeah, what did I say? Decibel. Decibel levels that your white or brown noise is at.
And so, it's not perfectly accurate. It's dependent upon the microphone of your device, but it's close.
Yeah, it's close. So you don't have to worry about, causing long-term hearing damage. Just download the app, measure the decibel level.
Team white noise for life. I even have to have white
Rachel
noise.
sleeps with white, yeah.
I do. If we're in a hotel, it's like weird if it's perfectly silent. So, you know what? Let me talk about white noise for a second. Box fans are a form of white noise. So are hair dryers.
Exactly.
So our parents I'm not specifically our parents.
Yeah, not our parents.
The generations before us that are making fun of us for using white noise used white noise in a much less convenient manner and much less energy efficient.
Amen.
Dryers, cars, all white noise.
Yep, it's a good point. It's a great point.
Anyway, off my soapbox. Thank you guys for watching.
Hit that subscribe button. Help us get recommended to other people so that they can learn from our experience and mistakes.
Totally.
And successes.
Leave a comment of your experience with newborns and what you think everybody should know.
Because other people are going to read it.
Totally.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Have a good one. Have a
See you next time.